Hi guys. Stephanie's here with us and I'm super excited, but we were talking about hair and it's silly, but that's the kind of stuff I want like these conversations to be more of, where it's not just boring fitness stuff if people want to hear other things. And so I feel like this is relevant though, because so we were talking about hair and I have super thin hair too, or like when I was in high school it was a lot thicker, and then like stopped eating as a high schooler and like tried to go, like was surviving off of Diet Coke and the circus animal cookies. Do you remember?
Yes.
That was like all I would get. Of course, I didn't drink I wouldn't eat breakfast, and then I would get those from like the vending machine. And my hair went from being like so thick that I remember as a kid, my mom had to pay like the adult price to get me like kids' haircuts. And then my ponytail went to like nothing. And it definitely was because I was eating like shit. And then with kids, it
Oh,
never really came back, like I didn't really get the like really bad short hairs. I think it just thinned. And then it's not been until recently. And Claire is she'll be 4.5 here soon. And my hair started being able to get like way longer. Like I didn't even realize that it's getting like close to my middle back. I did start taking Nutrafol. Have you tried that?
that's about it. And I I don't know. I'm just you think it works?
Okay, so be skeptical. I am very much a supplement minimalist. Like I don't take very much, for one, because I can't remember to. Like I'm supposed to be on progesterone half the month for night sweats and stuff. And so they told me to start taking it from ovulation until I bleed. Like, in what fucking world do you think that I can handle an on-off switch halfway through the month? Like, I just, no. Either tell me to take it all the time or not at all. Like, I can't handle it. And so, it's 4 pills a day is like the annoying part. And so I would divide it up into morning and night. I had to go get like the little organizer, and then I would spread them out throughout the day and have my other stuff. When I was taking it, I was like, this is a waste of money, because I think it's not cheap. I want to say it's like
I looked into it one time and it was kind of expensive, but
I it's something you notice later, and I think it's got to be what was doing the trick, because I did notice like a marked change, and I had started it actually because I was freaked out. And it's hard with like blonde hair, right? So like my hair is not super blonde, but blonde enough that I was like, oh my God, is my hairline receding? And because our job is to sit and stare at ourselves as we make videos all day, right?
right? No, and I'm always doing this like, oh shit, my hair is like the wrong.
I would sit and stare at that spot right there and just be like, I'm going bald. And so then I went to my hairstylist. I was like, should I be freaked out about this? And then I started going like darker, because if I did the money pieces here, it made like it drew my attention there even more. So I think I might be back to natural for the most part. If I don't, do you have eyebrows? That
Oh,
sounds
okay. I was getting ready to say yesterday when we're always looking at each other, like you said. So I grow hair right in here, and that's it. The rest of it I had tattooed on, but then I'm a sun worshiper. So the sun kind of faded that. And so I have to like draw on my eyebrows every day. Well, yesterday I was making a client reply,
good.
and when I got done, I go, enjoy that one eyebrow is much higher than the other. Once you see it, you will never unsee it again. This eyebrow that was
I'm
so
sitting
no.
there like, wait, why is it weird? I joke that I look like a thumb if I don't like put on something, because my eyebrows are like completely blonde and then my eyelashes are the same way. So if I don't have anything, I feel very like all one color. Like you got to put something.
I think I did used to have eyebrows. If I mean, I know I had eyebrows, but I plucked my eyebrows, I think, enough that they're just not there anymore. But
Yeah, now I don't even mess with it really because mine were already so thin, like just even before the 2000s and everything. And so now I'm like protective of, which I'm sure there's people out there that are like, yeah, Christina, that's just not managing your eyebrows. But I'm like, man, I don't want to get rid of like too much, like because then
you
they're just
take
gone.
Trafal?
I mean, it's in my medicine cabinet. I have not taken it consistently, probably since like spring, I'd say.
How
Uh,
long did you take it for?
maybe like a year.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
did buy a Dyson hair dryer. My daughter's a hairdresser
right.
and she does my hair, but I bought a Dyson and it legit really helped change the dryness because my hair, I think from all the bleaching that's still kind of on the end, because I've been growing it out now almost 2 years, I think. And I have some highlights put in it just to give it dimension, but it looks oily and I hate that.
Yeah, that's good. You have to get like get used to it.
Hair twice a week. So that in between, I'm like, if I use more dry hairspray, am I ruining my scalp? It's
I
I
did
mean,
start washing more often. I wonder if that actually, because I used to be very protective over wash day,
mhm.
and um, then I got to the point where I was like, I can't live like this anymore. Like with running, like most days. And so I started washing it more often, but not using heat on it. And so then I started trying to like do my curl because I have, what is it they call it? Like Irish curls or whatever, where it's more of like a wave
Wavy.
as opposed to like, and I mean, here in Colorado, it's like negative humidity. There's no moisture in the air, and my hair hates it. And so as soon as we get to like anything coastal, like if we go to San Diego or Florida, oh my gosh, my hair goes wild. I have like a full like lion's mane if I just let it air dry.
You have to do is just drive to your neighbor here in Kansas, and the humidity is it's nasty here. I don't.
Really?
Oh yeah,
That's
humidity.
wild that you're like right next to us. And I'm
Mhm.
even on like, well, I'm on like prairie land and it's just wind and dust and dry, flaky people.
No, it's very humid here for the most part, but we do get the wind. Uh, yeah.
It gets wild. I mean, I that's one thing now that like I'll laugh when I'm on like social media and people will talk about moving to like Colorado and they're like, what should we anticipate? And they're like, we're getting snow jackets, like blah blah. And then you'll see all of the people who live here will be like chapstick, chapstick. Like it's just never enough chapstick. You need to have them everywhere in every pocket, every bag, your car, every drawer. Like, and I think it's literally taken, we've been here 7.5 years. And I'd say like the last 6 months are probably the first that I don't have consistently dry lips. And it's Vaseline. You have to, that's the trick at night.
So too, I think chapstick like makes you want to put more on. Vaseline is stuff for sure. That or Aquaphor.
Oh, that's so true though, the habit, because my husband is terrible about his chapstick habit. Like he, the actual chapstick brand all day long.
Um,
And I feel like it doesn't do anything. Like it just
does.
doesn't help me. I love Carmex. I'm a sucker for that one.
Oh, it's same. I even like the smell of it.
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh, totally. And if you get it in like the stick, it's so much. I prefer that over the tube, like so much more.
Yes.
So it
Yeah.
doesn't make a big old mess. Okay, so I did have actual plans for us a little bit today, which this is monumental because I almost never do. So I've been doing little miniature challenges because I miss the big group challenges, right? I don't necessarily miss having like thousands of people in them. But so the last two that I've done, I did one, it was like January to April, and it was like 14 people. And then that one was, what was it? It was 90 days. And then this recent one was only 60 days. And I think I had people. So like the idea was it for it to be a kind of like small group coaching. And so instead of doing like the Facebook lives, I was doing Zoom calls. um, and like things like that so that we could be a bit more interactive. So that was fun. And then I like to do little side quests with things too. So like they're doing whatever their goal is, but then each week I would have something like testing how long can they hold a plank or how many push-ups can they do or like a mobility thing. Little things like that. They could be like, do this on Monday, even just retest it by the end of the week, like after your workouts and see if you can beat yourself. So um, that ended August 1st. And I just was able to go through all of their little personal statements and everything and pick a winner yesterday. And so she won $500. And I wanted to talk because we've both coached through these a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and then we've both coached bodybuilding at various stages with competition and things like that. And so in those people, it's very different from like a performance based goal, like if somebody was training for a race, they're working equally as hard and just as like, but it's a very different vibe and like drive, right? And
Right.
so I was curious with that kind of stuff. Do you, how do you coach those? Or like, do you have one that you prefer over the other, like lifestyle aesthetic competitions versus like bodybuilding aesthetic competitions? How do you feel about challenges? Like so we could just kind of like word vomit, travel down that path and see where
Yeah.
it takes us.
Well, it's funny that you asked that because I had somebody ask me that not too long ago, and I really thought about it. And me as a coach, I love coaching all of it. I really one, it gives me kind of diversity on different things, but I find more joy in the lifestyle clients, mainly because it's something that is going to carry long term. Not that a competition doesn't, not that running a race doesn't, but with lifestyle, there's there's an end goal, but it's something that they can keep going in a way. A lot of times when people do a challenge, they just have those blind or a challenge or a competition. I mean, you and I have both been there with competitions too. We have those blinders on. Nothing gets us out of the lanes. We do what our coach tells us, but then when it's done, it's it's hard. I mean, we get that body dysmorphia. We don't know what to do. So that's one thing as a coach I have really worked on doing, whether it's with a challenge or a competitor or even a lifestyle client. We need to have a goal afterwards, whether it's just to track your food, maybe it's just to keep up with your step count. Maybe I don't like to ever say use the scale as a factor, but more of, how can you keep this going versus I'm only going to do this for right now. I've got a vacation coming up, but guess what? When the vacation's over, so I find more joy in the lifestyle because it's something that sticks with somebody longer, but I do really enjoy all of the coaching. Um, the challenges, the last challenge that I worked with, um, I had one client in particular that wasn't tracking her food beforehand. Um, she hadn't lifted in about 6 months, and she was a little bit older, um, but she wanted to be treated like a competitor. I mean, we had the call, and I'm trying to let her know, hey, we need to have something afterwards, and she was like, no, I want to be treated like a competitor. She bought all the supplements, all the protein powders, wanted to do all the cardio, but she was also eating very, very little. So I'm trying to help her understand, hey, let's work on some of these things, just the basics. And it was funny, she didn't continue with me afterwards, but the that made the biggest improvement was her hydration, drinking much water. And that was one thing that we really were trying to build on. And in the beginning, she was going to the bathroom all the time and complaining about it. But then she's like, okay, my skin looks better. I'm sleeping better. I'm not as hungry. I'm not going for sweets. So
So like all the things.
you fun stuff. So, yeah, that was a long drawn out answer, but they're all fun. Yeah.
Well, it's different, right? Like I was talking to a current client recently, because I try to do like monthly calls with them if they want to. And she is a lifestyle client and she wanted to chat because summer has kind of been like a pullback from like the big goals and more of a focus just on maintenance and like, you know, she wanted to kind of game plan how to ramp up like as summer ends and the kids go back to school and stuff like that. And so we were talking about how like that shift happens and that it's completely normal. And I had brought up at one point about how coaching competitors is like it's fun on one hand because you know that if there's somebody who's super locked into it, you can be like, I want you to eat 6 almonds and a handful of dirt for breakfast each morning. And like that'll do the trick. And they're like, I haven't heard of that before. Yes. Like, and they're like, whatever it takes. And so you don't really have to, for lack of a better word, fight things, as much with getting them to do it. But then there's the flip side where, I have had clients who compete where I'm like, all right, we've been working together for 9 months. I think it's time we try strawberries again, and then like you have to go like the complete opposite route where then you're like, no, I promise you, if you don't open my fitness pal tomorrow, you will not blow up into a balloon, and so then there's different sides of that coin. I think that, doing the lifestyle stuff, the thing that's especially people who say treat me like a competitor, our approach, well, I mean, I'm sure I can probably guess you're the same way, right? Like the way that I coach my lifestyle people and the way I coach my prep people is not very different. Like,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's them. It's the person who's different and whether or not they find success with the approach. Because even, I mean, this is probably like sacrilege in the bodybuilding world, but like as far as peak week goes, I don't send out like a PDF anymore. I don't send like I don't have a whole bunch of rules and like things like that. And I know a lot of people like love that. And I am lucky enough to all of my competitors right now I have worked with for many years. And so like we've done multiple shows. We know how each other works and like things like that. But I'm not even as like wild with that stuff where I'll just be like, okay, well, what do you normally eat? Like just send me your day of food that digests well. There we go. Like I'm not going to give you a whole new plan that we've
Yeah.
never tried before that we're implementing at this point. Just don't change anything. you know, Slowly ramp it up. But like even trying to pull the neuroses like out of that side to a like certain extent when it comes to like peak weeks. And I mean it's been working well. And then there's like the lifestyle side. I think what they think if like, oh, well, if I say treat me like a competitor, they're going to be ultra strict about stuff. I'm going to feel like I have to be extra locked in. But like it's not my attitude towards you. I'm not like meaner to you in that situation or something like that. I will hold you tighter to things. Like, if it's your anniversary and we're 2 weeks out, tough shit. I hope you like grilled chicken. Like, okay, we will celebrate that next month. Like, at that point. But then I will even, and this is something I've gotten better at, but even in that situation, I'll be like, sorry, friend, but like that's a bad idea, and try to like, I wish we could. And so I've gotten better with being like, I don't even know why you're bringing this up. Like, you know what we need to do. But it's how they lock into it. And so a challenge, I think, feeds a lot of that same feeling for people. But even when I would be, what killed me with some of those was that they'd want to do peaking protocols, and get very, very extreme with it. And that's where I'm like, even with a challenge, I mean, first of all, for a lot of people, it's not going to make the change they think it will, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So how do you explain that to somebody? What peaking does and why it works in a bodybuilding situation, but why it's not going to work for most people in a lifestyle situation.
Well, okay. So, couple things. One, with a competitor, I've gotten to know their body. They are also in tune with their body. And they know, and we've had the conversations that a peak week, like you said, we don't really change things. We're not going to take away water. We're not going to change sodium. I mean, but there are conversations beforehand of what are you eating and let's stick with those. It's not time to bring in something new. Um, but with trying to explain that to a lifestyle client that wants to try and go through a peak week, it's like there really isn't, it's just kind of gliding in and actually adding more food. And that's what a lot of them are afraid of and don't understand. But I mean, what I want to know my client's body as much as they need to know their own body. Like you mentioned, strawberries. I, I love strawberries. I love all fruit, but I also know that if I end up having too much of it, those natural sugars are going to make me feel a little inflamed, and I need to probably have more vegetables. If I too much fiber before I go to bed, I'm going to wake up a little bloated and gassy. Um, I know those things about my body and trying to, find out that this kind of goes another way. I'm kind of going off on a tangent. That when we as coaches ask for additional information and kind of biofeedback, all of that stuff is so helpful for us to give them direction on, okay, I mean, I found out today from a client, she's hitting her macros, but she's been hoarding the majority of all her macros till the end of the day. And then she's discouraged by the weight in the morning. And so we talked about, hey, let's spread these out. You're tired during the day. Um, so a competitor has to learn those things, and a lifestyle client has to learn those things too. I don't know if that really answered your question because I,
And it gives like we have more tangents, right? So I think part of what going along with what you had said were like the differences between the two, right? I mean, with most competitors at that point, I would say even like I have competitors right now who are both going to be on stage in November. And I mean, one of them's not stressed out at all because it's like she's been doing a billion shows. So like we have it down. My other one's a first time competitor and she's already like, we don't have enough time. And like things are and I'm like, relax, like do not freak out or you will make it. So we don't have enough time. So both of them, when it comes to like, what can we do to make sure this is smooth? I have not told them to put themselves on meal plans. They are both essentially on meal plans. And, even if I really zoom out on my life and like take a look at how I eat, I'm essentially kind of on a meal plan, like without thinking about it. And it's not because I think meal plans are good or whatever. It's because exactly like you said, specific things will set your body off, make you feel a certain way. You know when to eat certain things so that you can go to the bathroom at certain times. Like, yeah, is there any, I have a client who's a guy who we were talking about one meal a day and he was curious about it. And the way that his work is, he's a single guy, like he's got a girlfriend, but like it's not there aren't like kids in the house where there's like snacks everywhere and things, and like he's busy. Um, and so he was asking about it, and I was like, you know what? It might be interesting to see. Like, let's try it, But with somebody else, if I know they're going to be scale conscious in the morning, like, yeah, that amount of food is most likely going to be sitting in your gut tomorrow morning when you wake up. You won't have worked through it enough, or you're going to have a massive poop first thing in the morning, and plan for that. But I would say the difference there is that people who there's a certain brand of crazy that comes with competitors and like people who get very, very into that lifestyle, there is something that feeds off of that. And so, I mean, outside of like when if it fits your macros was huge, but even then, if you really think back to it, we all got pretty routine about what we were doing then too. It was a strawberry Pop Tart before this, nothing else. It was, this other thing that was very specific. And I think with a lot of that, either as somebody who, like when I was deep in bodybuilding, you best believe I was taking a picture of my abs when I woke up in the morning every day. And it was getting posted to the internet every day. And so, like, if not like 3 times a day, depending on how they looked. And, so I was not going to have like Brussels sprouts are a great example. I fucking love Brussels sprouts. If I say that word one more time, I will get bloated. Like, and so I would think about that. Whereas like now, I mean, I'm probably not going to have them the night before a long run because my stomach will be upset. But then I think about that performance wise. So I think getting into where you're outside of just doing challenges and then you're into it's an identity of some sort, right? Like it's serving some portion of your identity. Your food, and again, I hate like there's better words out there, but really does become more along like fuel. It really is a
Yeah.
necessity that you have. And then you find ways to make it enjoyable. But like competitors are fine eating plain cream of wheat out of a plastic bag in line at the airport. Like they're gonna eat whatever.
I am pretty strong on that with my competitors that they include things that they really like.
Right.
I don't want them to have the mentality of clean chicken and rice and green beans or broccoli every single day. I mean, my competitions, I fit in a little Snickers bar. I would have a McDonald's ice cream cone every once in a while, but I planned for those things.
Right, exactly.
And I knew that if I wanted that McDonald's ice cream cone, that had more sugar in it. So maybe I'm going to only have one serving of fruit
Hmm.
and have maybe 3 servings of vegetables that day. I mean, I kept those things in my plan thanks to my coach at the time, because I had Danny as my coach then, um, to tell me, hey, if you don't keep a lot of these things in, when we get done, no matter the outcome, you will spiral. And as many competitions as you and I both have been backstage and gone to and been in ourselves, that after competing is almost it's hard for me to see as an outsider now because they are munching on all the big cookies. They're going and getting all of the big desserts. And yes, it's great, but if you enjoyed a lot of those things along the way, you're not going to feel like you have, and I didn't feel like I needed to stuff myself with all of those things. I mean, the one thing I did enjoy was a margarita, some tequila. I did cut out drinking the whole time I competed, but I just I I try to really make it pretty important to, yes, keep the blinders on, but make sure you keep in the things that you like, or it's going to really backfire.
Yeah. I know like Steven has talked about it before. And I want to say with his last prep, wasn't that the one where he didn't tell anybody? And
Yes, I
he,
believe so.
right, and he was like super sneaky about it until, I mean, there were those of us that could watch his face and be like, what you doing? Like, where'd the rest of you go? um,
Yeah.
but, for the most part, and like his goal with that was that way it wouldn't become something shitty in life, like for the people around him, and I thought it was a really interesting experiment because you have to act like pretty normal with stuff and it's super possible. And so with all of that, bringing it back to people who like to do the challenges, right? Because when I was running the big challenges and we were doing multiple per year, like there was one thing that would piss me off because when we started doing them throughout the year, because there was always people who would say like, oh well, this time doesn't work for me, I wish there was one at this point. Oh, that doesn't work for me, I wish there was one at this point. So it was like, okay, so let's do that. And then there would be people who are like, so you just want us to diet all year long and all of these challenges? I'm like, no, just because it exists does not mean you need to sign up. Like you have to have some personal responsibility for what you're supposed to do with your life, right? And so you look at competitors and they'll have kind of like the ebbs and flows with things, but there's a constant to it. I think the difference when we come into a lot of the lifestyle competitions, if people aren't necessarily as like experienced in it, is that they want to have that like go 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 extreme, I can only eat so much, I have to do all of this cardio and like those kinds of things. And then you do get more of that food focused because it's like it's going to fight against you, then it feels like nothing's working, then it's like, well, I definitely can't have that, well fine, I might as well just have it because I did everything, nothing fucking works. And then there would be like 2 weeks where everything goes to shit and then they're ready to go again, you know. And so trying to figure out a way to really like smooth that out, because it's funny that you brought up the food thing. I used to follow so many of those food accounts, like,
But, oh, didn't we all?
and the thing is, I thought about that like somewhat recently, and I was like, man, I don't follow anything like that anymore, and like I don't miss it in my life. A lot of times I see these giant cookies, and I'm like, that seems like a lot of flavor at once. Like I'm like it almost to the point that like that was all so overwhelming. And I mean, my relationship with food is so much better
Mhm.
not being a part of that anymore. And it does make me like kind of sad for that. And so I had thought to myself recently, like, I wonder if it's still like that. And then I had a client send me a picture and she was like, I'm waiting for this post show. And I was like, oh, yep, there it is.
Okay.
There was like people who, I don't think it was somebody I actually knew. It was like somebody on Instagram who had a whole locked pantry loaded with food
Oh my
that
gosh.
was their post show. And it was like, and they would like open it and like show all of the like naughty foods. And I was just like, oh, I mean, like, show this to your therapist.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is concerning. And I mean, if I can get people away from anything, it's like that kind of feeling, you know. I get so happy now when like one of my clients who's prepping, her macros are like 175 carb and 45 fat. And then like her protein's like 140, something like that. But I mean, her carbs are still at like 175. And she was like, I'm just so hungry. And it was like hitting her and stuff. And I was sitting there like, like, because we'd gotten so high beforehand.
Love that though. I mean,
Remember getting to like 200 club and it was like worthy of telling everybody you knew, we hit 200 carbs. And it was
did
like,
you ever hit the 300?
no, not
I
in
I
competing. I
hit
didn't.
the I hit the 300 before my second competition. And I remember Danny sending me the email saying, "Welcome to the 300 club." I had I remember I had a frozen pizza that I had gotten. It was like one of those California pizzas. I was able to have half of it, but I had to add some more chicken. I mean, that's thing super hack that works amazing. But I felt like I was eating all the time. But I did have to intentionally and strategically plan to eat every 4-ish hours. And but I was building muscle. I felt good. But my carbs, I think they never got below 130, 140, I don't think, ever.
So I was 60 carb, 40 fat, and 140 protein for 3 months.
My
Ate
gosh.
I mean, and part of that was because I would be like, I'm fine, I can keep going. Actually, I ran a whole ass marathon after. Yeah, I trained for it, like was doing enough cardio that I jumped into a marathon. And that was that's my second fastest race.
Okay, so fun fact.
By the way, if you're listening, don't do that.
Well, fun
Talking
fact
about my
is
attack at the finish line.
I've done that too. Now, this was before my way before competition days when I was a marathon runner. I always kept my mileage up. I mean, I always did at least a 10-mile run a week, sometimes 12, but ran almost every day. Um, I decided a week before a marathon that was here in Wichita, I was like, I'm just going to enter it. Um,
Love it.
I still finished around 4 hours, but I felt so I've qualified for Boston twice.
So fun.
Had my entry, and it was and I would not go back and change this because it was the most amazing trip, but my son's baseball team that year qualified for the World Series in Cooperstown, New York. So I couldn't afford to do both, but I had already paid my entry, and did that instead of Boston. But I have never been to Boston. It's on my bucket list. And if you haven't done it, you need to do Pikes Peak.
Oh, the Pikes Peak Marathon?
I've only done the ascent. There's the ascent that they do on Saturday, and then the full marathon, which is up and down on Sunday. And a lot of people do both. Not me. My knees can't take the down, but I've done it twice, and I will tell you, I'm very competitive, which I hate that about myself. I got to the top, and it's the most, I have goosebumps thinking about it. It's just, I love nature. When you get to that A frame and then you get up there, you just like, you're on top of the world and you can see everything. But the last time I did it, I guess my oxygen was low. My lips were purple. I didn't like this. I was like on cloud nine on top of
Yeah.
14,110
And they're
feet.
like, well, put this on.
Yeah. Like, we need to resuscitate you. So,
An ultra that it didn't go to like the top. Well, I'm sure I went to the top of some sort of mountain, but it wasn't a 14. But it was in fall. And I have so many videos filmed from like down below, running underneath like the canopy of all of the aspens in like every single color. It's so much fun. We went to the top of Pikes Peak. We did the drive. And
oh,
I am terrified of, I guess heights is like not the right word. Um, but we did it in January and it was a terrible idea. Don't do that. It was so icy and so snowy that like when we started the drive, they were like, the road could get shut down while you're on it, just so you know. And we won't come save you. And so I was like, great, great fun. And I literally sat in the like wheel well, like down in the, so I couldn't see out the windows and just waited. And then at one point, my husband, once we got above the tree line, was like, you have to look. And it looked like Mars. Like it was the weirdest thing because it was just rocks and no vegetation. And then it would, I mean, obviously Mars would be red, but it was like just the snow was so icy. It was just blowing and like not accumulating. And I'm sure the view, because up there you can see the four corners, can't you?
uh, I don't, maybe you can. I don't I thought that was on like Keystone or Breckenridge.
Maybe they have one up there too. I don't know, because I'm trying to think of what I would have been to there that would have it. My in-laws live in Keystone.
You
So
know,
we're up.
people listening to this going, you guys are stupid. You can't see four quarters, or you can't see.
There's somebody yelling at it for sure. You can definitely see something cool. I remember them being like this, and this, or whatever. But I definitely ran like to the sign. I have a picture of my son and I because we were both uncomfortable. So we like ran out, took a picture with the sign, and then ran back in. And we're like, we'll just be here because it was so cold. It's
Back to though, not, I mean, not because we could talk running all day, but you were on 60 carbs and ran a marathon with that.
Yeah. And the funny part was I tried to carb load and I caused horrific diarrhea.
Oh,
I carb loaded with pretzels, like soft pretzels, and like 3 days. And this was my first marathon, also.
your very first?
Very first marathon. Very first. And
Oh my
like,
God.
and then I transitioned 100% like that direction. The pictures are hilarious. I took a picture at each mile and they're like, smile, smile, smile until you get to like 15. And then there's the pictures that like the race photographers got of me. And I'm like, and I mean, obviously after that one, I was so sore. Oh, so the pretzels. I was doing like the salt. So I was like, oh, this is genius. It's carbs, it's salt. I'm feel great. Definitely went way too far on the salt side of things. And then and it just completely ran through me like the day before the race. Don't do
You,
that.
do you coach any runners?
I do. Yeah, I have. I've coached somebody to a half Ironman before, which was a feat because I've never done that. And I had warned them when I was like, "Listen, friend, I can research this a whole lot, and I can say somewhat smart things, but you should know." like,
But though, speaking of this, I think maybe we coached the same person, not because there was
oh, I think
like
so too.
Giselle.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, so I have to tell you though, it's actually really cool. She's from Belgium. I've gotten to meet her twice.
I love when that happens.
Oh my gosh. So she actually got to meet my daughter because my daughter ran the Chicago Marathon this last October, and I was on social media and I happened to see that, not Giselle, I'm sorry. That wasn't her name.
Why does that sound right? It's something very close.
S-
Celine?
Uh,
No.
Celine. Yes. Celine. Yes, 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 that was it.
I
I
worked with
have
a Janelle that was a runner. That's why that made sense. No, it's Celine. And yeah, as soon as yes, okay. Um, and she would go back and forth, I think, between the two of us.
yeah, and which was fine. I mean, if yeah. So, anyway, I saw that she was running. I had met her when I was working with her because I trained her for a Boston Marathon and the Chicago Marathon, I think. So I flew to Chicago so I could meet her. Well, then this last October when my daughter ran it, I found out she was going to be there. And so you know how you can follow the runners. I was able to see her during the race, and I think I have it on video. I'm like yelling at her, screaming. And then my daughter and I had coffee with her the next morning. So
So
she's, yeah,
she's amazing. Reach out to her now because I think it's been a couple of months since I've heard. I'll have to go check on her. She's amazing. Shit that she gets done.
oh,
And she's like a perfect example. Huh?
yeah, she has twin boys too.
No.
Yeah,
And weights was like the thing where
yeah,
trying to get weights in her hands. And she wanted to stay very light on her
lean.
feet and things like that. But I forget how old she is. She's in her like
Well, I
late
want to say she's
40s.
my age. I think. Let,
Because it was enough to where we were having like perimenopause conversations and things like that, and then also with endurance, and then like so that was where I was like, please, can we lift some weights? like,
getting the weight thing was very difficult. I'm gonna see. She is Celine. Yeah, 54.
hey, yeah,
She
and
is amazing. So anybody listening to this, and Celine, if you are listening to this, we love you.
what an incredible athlete. I used to be, so I am not a fast runner, and so her stuff when she would send me like her long runs for the week and I was just like, oh my God. Like I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. So like I'm so jealous. And it's so fun getting to coach like people like that and
Oh,
have people that can do things that like I can't do. And getting all of that data and then trying to design something out. And then I'll be like, I'll think of them while I'm out doing my stuff. And like, I don't want to let them down. Like, they're working this hard. I want to keep up. It's like, that's always so fun when it works like both directions. And, you can motivate each other back and forth. I forgot that you were the coach on the other end of that. And it was always so fun because stuff would work well. It was very seamless, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think she chose us just, because we were both runners and to get a different perspective. I mean, I did that when I was a marathon runner. I got different perspectives from coaches. Did you run in school?
No, I wish.
Oh,
I ran like in high school. Like I was on track, but that was mostly just because my boyfriend threw
oh,
shot. And so I went and hung out. But I started running like just on my own, always casually, and then I ran in college like for fun. But I graduated in 2008, and so then like first financial crisis, nobody could get a job and things like that, and so I joined the Navy, like right out of college. And I was like, so my pride does a lot for me. And I was not in shape when I joined. I was actually at like the only other time I've been as heavy as I was then was 9 months pregnant. Like I had hit like 170, and that was just like my normal like walk around, which like now, so it's like 35 pounds above where I hang out these days, but there wasn't an ounce of muscle on me. Like I was full of beer and pizza because I worked at a pizza place. And so then when I had joined, I was like, well, I'm not going to go and look stupid. And so I had like a couple of months to prepare and like started getting very serious about the running. I was going to have to do a boot camp. And I came out of that fully locked in. And I met my husband like 3 months after boot camp. And I had totally gone like, I'm never dating again. I had just gotten out of like a 4-year relationship and then met him. And he had just finished like dive school and everything. So he was running all of the time. And then he deployed right away. And then I was sitting here stuck in Chicago. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Like, my boyfriend's off on a ship, like I didn't want to go party anymore, and things like that. And so then I just entertained myself with working out because, I mean, even now I'm like, nobody tell him that he's really fucking hot. And like everywhere we go, he gets people ask him if he's a football player, and things like that. So he's just like he exudes the fact that he works out a lot. Like we went on a hike the other day and we got a beer afterwards. And this kid came up to him and was so sweet. I was like, I just gotta ask, man. It was like our waiter. He's like, how much do you bench? And Vic hates that question. Like he never knows what to do with it. So, and
yeah.
he did not give the kid a number, and it killed me because I was like, why didn't you just say a number? Because he said something like, oh, I don't know, like, oh, enough, or like something like that. And I've heard him say like all of it, or like something like that. But and you can see this kid definitely wanted a number. But the funny part is now at almost 40, it hurts for him to bench all the way.
So yeah,
He does like lighter weight for more reps, and so it's not as fun.
yeah, yeah.
But I was like, man, my boyfriend's real hot. I better get in shape. And then that was when I started signing up for 10Ks. And then it became, I did a 9.11 race on 9/11 that started at 9/11 with like a bunch of my military friends. And then that was like, I was locked in after that race. So I was like, I can run for an hour and a half. And then it was like, let's do a half marathon. And then let's do this. And then just kind of kept collecting all of those. And so I never really had anybody coach me through it until the last handful of years. And then I have two coaches that I go back and forth between. And um, so both run coaches, both ultra marathon coaches. But Carly works for the list method. And so everything is very science-based. I mean, she's very flexible, but like very by the books and stuff like that when it comes to like why we're doing things. You know, Alyssa has like her PhD. My coach Carly, she's like a nurse, but then also does all this. And it's very performance based. That's it. We don't talk about anything else. Like she does my training. That's it. Sam, on the other hand, is for when like aesthetics and my ego want to get into it. Sam is a pro bodybuilder and an ultra marathoner, and like he will run a 100-mile race and then turn around and he competed in a bodybuilding show the week after a 100-miler, competed again, then did another ultra. So if I want to be reckless, which Sam knows what I mean when I say that, but I can be like, hey, you want to do some stupid shit?
Oh my
And
gosh.
do that side of stuff. And but I think that's important. Like I'm not offended when like clients have like different things for different needs, you know, like sometimes you need a different voice. Like I know Sam's not actually going to lead me astray and let me do anything stupid, but like for a vast majority of people, if you say, I want to do a bodybuilding show and a marathon within, you know, 6 months of each other, they'll look at you like you're crazy. Which I wouldn't get back on stage. But like my goal for my marathon this year was to have abs and to have fun. And I did. I had abs at the start line and I drank 4 beers during that race.
Um, I have never had, I have a very strong core, but I have never been able to get my abs to
Like
show. Yeah, at
well,
all.
mine
I have,
don't do it like all the way either. It's like what I consider abs for me. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I do have, so if I'm laying out and laying on my stomach and I start to come up, I'm like, oh, there they are. But I also, I don't know if this could be part of it. Um, Before I got pregnant with my daughter, I found out I had a hernia. And then they said, we're not going to do anything with it until, you know, after pregnancy, because we were trying to get pregnant at the time. After she was born, I had it wasn't like one of those that had to be fixed, like it was pain, but it was starting to protrude a little bit. They went in there and I had 18 hernias. So my stomach here is kind of lined with that mesh. And in fact, let me see, since I got overalls on, I have like a thing that sticks out right in here. And it's I don't know if it's the mesh because I was in a car accident like
Yeah.
before, I guess it hardened up. I don't know anything about it. But now I'm like seeing those commercials of the mesothelioma if you have that mesh in your, and I'm like, oh, maybe
I should
I'll,
probably talk to my friend Ellen. She maybe one day we'll all chat. Um, she does like pelvic floor and core stuff and things like that. And like I wonder if I can make it happen. I
there, you have abs.
You see that there?
Yes.
But to make that happen, I had to stop breathing and flex. I got to, but I can make it go in. You see, like the section there. So, like, um, I have a pretty. It's not very squishy, is the thing. Is that I can create tension in my diastasis, but it is probably about 2 fingers wide. And then I do that
Yes.
big. But yours, oh, okay. So did they do anything like a tummy tuck kind of when they did the mesh?
No, I mean, like, okay, so these are my ribs.
Yeah.
And then when I try to get my abs out, that is, I don't know if that's an extra hernia, but
So
I
it
can't,
might have something to do with pressure, right? And what can happen with like the diastasis, and they're supposed to pull it together with like the mesh, right? So it's a different layer of your abs. There's like when people think abs and you have like the six pack, that's the rectus abdominis. So they're the ones that you would build with like weight, like you want to build them. And some people just won't. Like it's just not going to happen. And like that stinks. Your TVA is underneath, and it's going to be like the corset muscles that they talk about. Those are what we kind of rip apart with the baby and stuff like that. And so along there, there's some core work that you might be able to do that would help create more tension. So, like, there's different ways that they look at like the functionality of a diastasis. And so it could be maybe it's wider. And then, but you can create tension and protect yourself there, which is how mine is. So mine doesn't cause any back pain. I don't get any squishiness there, like things like that. My husband has a diastasis from like powerlifting and like all of that kind of stuff, and his is closer to his belly button. He cannot create tension. And so his is deep and it stays squishy when you, that's how you can kind of tell. Like when you press, is it very squishy and you can go far, or can you create tension? And so that's like one of the things you'd want to, if people are struggling with that, they can learn the tension and that can help protect it a little more.
Um, you asked a kind of a weird question, but do people get a tummy tuck when they get mesh put in or something?
Well, so they sew it back together is part of what a tummy tuck is like there's the removal of skin, which is like why people end up losing their belly button and things like that, and then they have to build them.
Oh, see, mine was just I had a small cut done right up here, and they didn't like, I mean, I had the tube, the drainage tube, but this was, God, my daughter's going to be 26. So this was 25 years ago.
So my mom had, when would she have had hers done? Almost around the same time, because I have a brother who's much younger, and how old is he? He'll be 30 next year. So he'll be 29 this November. Um, and she had it after him. And the reason I had asked is because her belly button, right above her belly button, she had something that was like a bit of like a bulge to her, but like to anybody else, you wouldn't be like, what's bulging out of your shirt, you know? It was just barely there, but she had gone back, and like hers had been a tummy tuck, but it partially was because of the diastasis. So it was, and they'll go through and kind of like stitch them back together essentially. And like the mesh can help with that kind of stuff if you can't do that. And the way that they had done hers, there was one section that stayed open basically, and she would have where she could like push stuff back in, like things were coming through it, like intestine, like the way like a hernia can. And so she had gone back into the doctor, and he told her, you're just one of those women who will never be happy with your body no matter how much work we do, and you just need to accept it. And it was like, well, man, this isn't even like yeah, she didn't love the way it looked, but she had like persistent back pain and it would ache. And so finally she had gone to another doctor, and like the way to fix it would have just been like the mesh and like bringing things close together. But if it's bothering you, that would be something where maybe,
It doesn't bother me as far as anything. I just see it. I mean, it
yeah,
doesn't,
if it's not causing pain
yeah,
and you're
no.
functional, I wouldn't stress too much. But Ellen might have ideas for workouts that like deeper core work, and like breath work is a lot of it,
I
things like
do a lot of breath work and just like kind of pelvic tilt some, trying to get my back. I've been doing a lot of those things for
or
quite a
even
while.
like your ribs moving too is like a weird way to get things to like settle back in. And that's one thing that was always hard for me, was like trying to breathe so that like your back ribs and stuff can expand too. And then I'm like the typical where, my mom and grandma told me to like stand up straight, push your boobs out. And so then my rib cage was constantly like out. And now that's one thing that drives me nuts, is that my ribs are always like,
Mine are always, yeah, here, let's see. Mine are always,
see, if you guys are watching the YouTube, that's what you want. Right. And it would always drive me crazy when I would compete, because when you see girls that just have like,
tiny, tiny waist.
and I'm like, you can't see their ribs. Like,
So
and mine like stick out.
So there's this much room between
And
my
your hip
pelvic
bone?
and bottom, my hip bone, and so it's like,
And
oh,
like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, that's my bone.
yeah. See, as coaches, we've got our own flaws, and we,
It's so fun to coach other people though. And I will sit and tell my clients all the time. I mean, last week I sent my client Sam, who is doing her first summer of national shows, and she sent me her pictures and I'm pretty sure I cried. And I was just like, look how fucking cool you are. Like, you look like a superhero. Like, and it's, you get to kind of like live vicarious.
seriously, yes.
Oh my God, well, I was watching the live stream um when she was up on stage this last time and she held center for a very long time and then she got moved. But it's a learning moment. But while she was in center, and I'm watching her and in my head I'm like, you don't have to shake, breathe, like trying to tell her because I can see that it's there. And I was literally like, the phone was shaking so hard on the treadmill, and I'm just like in my dark garage watching it. Oh, it's so fun.
I get just as excited watching live stream as I do in person. I mean, and I only have a small, oh, well, I can tell you that the times that, like, when Lacey and Lisa and Swan, when they, just went, and then I had one Dana that I've never met yet. She's competed twice. I had a male compete, but I know, and he's hired me twice. And males are harder to coach, in my opinion, a little bit. Yeah.
Like,
I still, yeah, I still like it, but they're just a little bit more difficult in different ways. But no, I just like you get so excited every single time, and every time they send me their pictures, I'm like, God, abs like that, and look at your ass.
right? And you're like, and I really am trying. Right? That's okay. I love
Yeah,
it so much. Well, I've already sold an hour of your time, so I will free you from the day. But
I'm loving this. Just kind of girl talk and talk all.
yeah, that's
So
exactly what I want to do. Is have it be that way and have it be kind of like wherever the world takes us, right? And um, we've both got
you
kids.
asked,
You've got
yeah.
older, which like I don't know that path, and like how that changes with things, balancing the different like styles of training, like all of that. So I figure we can kind of travel down like all of those paths. So you guys will definitely hear from Stephanie more often, as often as I can trick her into talking to me.
I
Uh,
mean, I'm up for anything. And I mean, if you ever get topic ideas from some of your clients, or if I do, I mean, like Christina said, I have older kids. I have a son that's 32, a daughter that's 25. She'll be 26 this year. And then my stepson is 20. I am going through a divorce. So there's the challenges of all of that. I just started 100% coaching on my own. So I'm also building a business. There's the challenges with that. But, I remember the challenges with little kids. I remember the challenges with running marathons, with learning how to bodybuild. So talking through a lot of that stuff, we've all been there, done that, and we love to share our knowledge.
yeah.
Um,
That's the fun
so
part, right? Like the
it's
business owner thing, I want to dive into like at some point and talk through that stuff because it is definitely like, I mean, we were business owners before as like contractors working with the bigger company, but the transition was fun, but also like, ugh, there's a reason I didn't want to do this shit, like when it comes to running your own business. So that's been a learning curve for both of us too. So, I love all of those little things. Even like the trick of like my business account pays really good interest, so I should let you know. Um, like, like those kinds of things. Like, and I appreciate so much being around other people who love just being like, "Hey, I know this thing. You want to know it?" Like, like I've put work into learning about this thing. You should hear what I have to say. So yeah, if anyone listening has any random, I'm sure we probably, one of us have traveled down that path and know a little bit about it, or will be interested in learning as much as we can and then talking about it. I was thinking too, like I need to get back to reading like math and things like that with research coming out. Uh, and so it would almost be fun to have like one where maybe both of us are able to go through it and then kind of chat like how it's relevant. So like maybe sticking more along the lines of maybe like peri or postmenopausal, since they're doing more research and learning more things like that. I have a handful of clients on GLP-1s, so I've been really paying attention to that side of things, and kind of I'm very into the research looking at how it affects addiction. Like I think that's cool. Like,
Yeah, that's um, I have quite a few friends. I mean, we could talk that, but I have a very good close friend who's been on GLP-1 for quite a while. And when she called me when she started it, and I used to train her, and I'm like, I'm not going to say her name. I'm like, friend, just make sure you stay up with your weights and really have keep those basics that we kind of worked on then. She's gone through a lot, but hasn't had time to do any weight training. She has lost 60 pounds, but she has no muscle. And she knows it. And she's like, I am so weak. It's hard for me to pick up my granddaughter.
mm.
So it's some of those things that making sure that those basics are there. And yes, but is the addiction with the weight loss? Is it with getting the compliments? Is it with just being on something? And does it lead to another type of addiction?
Well, they've been able to use it to treat gambling addictions. Yeah.
GLP-1?
Yes. Yes.
I
So,
didn't know that.
oh, okay. So maybe we'll dive down this. And I have a client who's offered her husband up before, and he had said he would be open to doing like a podcast. He's a pharmacist who has dug deep into stuff too. And so kind of like his experience with the people like patients that he actually knows and like isn't just dispensing and then they leave Target, and kind of dive into stuff there. Yes, so it's being used to treat alcohol, drug, and gambling addictions. And a lot of it has to do with how it shuts down the reward center and like things like that and how it affects that. And so they're able to see success there without trying to aim for weight loss and like different things. So when it
This
first came out, I was very like, because I don't like that you have to stay on it. Essentially, well, you don't have to, but like a lot of people will. Um, that made me very nervous, like in the beginning. And then as more has come out, and I come from a genetic line of drug addicts and alcoholics on one side of my family. And then I struggled with bulimia and eating disorders and things like that. And they're looking at it with like that kind of stuff too. And, or like binge eating disorder. And so, there's just so many paths that it's like, it is really intriguing where it's like, man, science is so cool. like, you know? So,
Bill Campbell's research stuff.
I don't think I do anymore. I think I used to. And that's the stuff where I'm pretty sure I turned it off and I want to get back to it because I just haven't been as deep. And I got to go talk up at, at the University of Wyoming in Cheyenne. And he had invited me up there to talk, and I felt so old. I mean, everybody was very kind, but I was up there, and it dawned on me where I was like, "Holy shit, I could be your mother's." Why are you all so young? And so that was weird. And then on the flip side, though, as I was giving my presentation, I was like, wow, it's super obvious that I don't work in academia and that I was in the Navy and I run my own business and I talk like a fucking sailor and I don't want to be in a professional environment. conversation was like bright pink. And I'm sure I dropped an F-bomb at some point. And then
my gosh,
like, well, that was fun, but I'm ready to go home.
that's funny.
It's good I wound up here as my own boss. So,
Yes. Yes.
yay. Okay. Well, I'm very excited to chat next week, and keep me posted if you hear anything that we should talk about next time, and we'll go from there.
All right.
If you guys have any questions about coaching or run programming, or you have anything coming up that I can help with or give a little bit of tips on, you can find me here in the comment section or at c.castle@yahoo.com. Send me a message on Instagram. It's just christina.castle, and I would love to chat out what's happening.